What is up, TFA fam? It is your boy Kevin Steele back again with another Week 14 game day show. Where has the time gone? Where has the time gone? We are almost done. It is the fantasy playoff season, so let's just get after it. Before we get going on everything, two things. One, welcome back, Robby, to another show. I had to take a little bit of time off, work, but how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Had a little hiatus. You guys held it down, rocked it really well. Enjoyed last week's show. Was able to pop on it and check it out for a little bit. Yeah, we're back. It's playoff time. Kev, there's nothing more concerning than when your team loses week 13. You can have a bye week. Your team can be rolling, but if you lose week 13 going into the playoffs, you feel a little unsure about your team. You could be 10-3, but week 13 loss is put me in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. So hopefully we can help out everybody else and my teams as well.
Yeah, it hits a little bit different whenever you take that loss. Yeah, I get that. So one, I know there's already a question from Walito. Where's Cody at? And he is sick. He's under the weather. He messaged just right before the show went on, and so we have deactivated him today, and we so he is not on the show. And wish him the best. He said he doesn't feel well, so he's a little sick. So he is not here. So we'll see if how he feels. Hopefully he gets feeling better. By the way, if you've noticed in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, we are doing a Allen Robinson signed jersey giveaway. This is an authentic jersey, and it is signed, and we are giving it away to one of our subscribers. So all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel to enter to win, and that's it. The end of list. That's all you got to do. Not asking you to go give us your email or give us anything else. All you got to do is be subscribed, and we will pull all of our subscribers, and we will draw from one of you, and we will be giving away that beautiful, beautiful jersey. Be a nice little centerpiece in your man cave or whatever have you. And so we're excited to do that. We're also probably going to be doing some other things, maybe a couple T-shirts and some other stuff for Christmas. So we're really looking forward to that. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Because we got the questions rolling in. And let's just get right after this. Hopefully, because me and you typically are very different in terms of who we want to play. So this should be fun with just me and you. So we may need the chat to break some ties here. But let's just get right going. Tam, back again, as always. Love to see you here. Appreciate you joining us again. Half-point PPR, need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. My bench options are Boyd, Mike Davis, Juju, Drake, and Cooks. Well, Cooks is out. So we don't got to worry about that, right? Then they rule him out.
No, he has not been ruled out. It's been reported by Ian Rappaport that he will be out, but
he's the last person I want.
That's what I'm saying. I want to wait and see what these inactives show. They are a 1:00 noon Central game, so we should know that for sure here in about 25 minutes. But Ian Rappaport reporting, it's a little. I'm going to leave it for a couple more minutes here. I think he might still have a chance to play. But even with that, he's banged up. He has, 2 different issues going on there. For that wide receiver 2 spot, I'm probably going to lean Boyd. I know that they have not looked great, that Cincy offense, but slot corners have always been Dallas's bane of existence, especially this year. If anybody can get something going in that passing game, I do think it is Boyd. We've seen Brandon Allen, throw a couple touchdowns in his 2 starts here. So, Juju is a high risk, high reward option there. So if you want to be a little bit riskier, I think that is an option. But I'd go Boyd. And then I think Drake's been great. I mean, early in the year, we were looking at Kenyan Drake and saying, this could be a bust candidate. He's slow off the gun. Chase Edmonds is evolving coming in. But, Kenyan Drake over the last 4 weeks has been running back 9. So I think you have to fire him up here. So I will go Drake and Boyd there.
Well, wouldn't want it any other way because we are going to disagree right off the bat. I do. Well, excuse me. I do agree on the Boyd call. I would play him. I do like him a lot. We saw last week. We had that 70-yard. It looks like he was going to have a monster game last week, and he had that 70-yard touchdown. And then he decided to throw hands and got ejected from the game. And so that kind of put it into that. But this week against Dallas, I do like Tyler Boyd quite a bit. But I would probably end up rolling with Mike Davis. And the other slot, like Drake, I don't mind Drake, but it just worried that Giants defense has been really good. That's the reason that they have been able to win as many games they have so far this year. The offense hasn't looked particularly great, but their defense has been underrated and undervalued, in my opinion. And I still don't know what's going on with Kyler or with Kyler Murray. He still looks like he's banged up. His shoulder does not look right. And so, if this defense can continue to play as well as they have, then, I am a little bit suspect on playing Kenyan Drake. But so for me, it'd be Boyd and Mike Davis is where I would go.
Yeah, I think the Kyler news is kind of coinciding with Kenyan Drake finding those red zone carries a little bit more. He scored a pair of touchdowns. It was either last week or the week before. I just think he's kind of filling that void where we saw Kyler getting rushing touchdowns left, right, and center early in the year. I think Kenyan Drake is just a little bit safer than Mike Davis. I don't hate the Mike Davis call, but Drake's been really, really good over the past 4 weeks, so it's hard to sit him. The rushing game. The Giants are actually good at stopping the run. I think they still have they're like fourth least amount in rushing yards given up, but the passing to backs, which is more Chase Edmonds' role, but we have seen Drake, come out and get a couple of receptions here and there. I do think that is in play for both Edmonds and Drake. So I do like Drake a little bit better.
Yeah, and I don't hate Kenyan Drake this week. It's just I just prefer Mike Davis a little bit more. So it looks like Walito went Juju and Mike Davis. And then Max Packard back again. Carr, Hurts, Cousins. I'm looking for them for the most reliable of those three. Pick three. Hopkins, Jefferson, Michael Thomas, Robby Anderson, non-PPR. So I guess let's start with a quarterback where, to me, it's Cousins. I love this matchup today against the Buccaneers. The Bucs pass defense has really, really been exposed, especially over the last month of the season prior to their bye. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks light them up. And to be honest, like if they fall behind in any way, this is what we're looking for, because Kirk Cousins quietly since like week 9 has just balled. Like he's been like a top 5 quarterback option and continues to play well. And this is a matchup that I'm not as high on Dalvin Cook. Like I have, in terms of rankings, like I have Dalvin Cook, I believe, at RB6, RB7, which is still, he's still an RB1. But I think you have to temper expectations with him a little bit because of the fact that this run defense has been so good and he's banged up. So for me, it's Cousins there.
Yeah, it's interesting because that Tampa Bay defense, I think, was something you tried to avoid. We saw them really get exposed here over the last couple of weeks. So that is enticing a little bit for Cousins. If they're going to stop something, you're right. I think they may not stop Dalvin Cook, but I do think they slow him down a little bit, which leans me towards Cousins. It's just tough to trust Jalen Hurts in his first start here. I think that's the one that's going to get me troubles is putting in Hurts in a tough matchup against the Saints. Derek Carr, man, not a lot of people want to go back to Derek Carr here. That one's against Indy, so that one's also tough. So, I don't love any of these options. They're all outside QB1 range for me, but I would agree that Cousins is going to be the top one there.
Yeah, and then the other three, so we have pick 3, Hopkins, Jefferson, Michael Thomas, Robby Anderson.
Man. I think I'm going to stick with those big 3 names there. Hopkins does have a tough matchup against, you were talking about that Giants defense, and the star of that defense has been James Bradbury. It's really tough to sit Hopkins, though. I'm going to still roll him out. Justin Jefferson, I think you absolutely roll him out this week, and then Michael Thomas would be my third. Robby Anderson does look more enticing with DJ Moore out. I think Curtis Samuel's going to play, but he was kind of iffy leading up to this week. He's a good play, but those are 3 strong names that it's tough to sit.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't sit DeAndre Hopkins as much as I've also lowered him down. I have him like wide receiver 8 this week, just because of the matchup. But DeAndre Hopkins has proven in the past that he could beat any secondary. That doesn't really matter. Like he's kind of matchup dependent. So I do like him. And then Jefferson, I think, like I said, if you're going to play Cousins, I think it's a good solid little stack there with Jefferson and then Michael Thomas. I think the Michael Thomas explosion week comes this week. Darius Slay has been just thrashed by this season, and it's not going to change this week. So I do like Michael Thomas a lot this week. So I like Robby Anderson, especially with DJ Moore out, but I just can't do it. I can't play him over one of these 3. So that's where I would roll with these guys.
Yeah, a lot of people were nervous about Michael Thomas, with Taysom Hill, but we've seen him have an insane target share with Taysom Hill, to the chagrin of Alvin Kamara, who has been getting no love from Taysom Hill in that passing game. So I'm still confident rolling out Michael Thomas. I agree with you there.
Yeah, his numbers have been ridiculous. He's been getting like 40% of the target share and like 57% of the market share of the air yards. So like it has been the Michael Thomas show, much to a disgrace of Alvin Kamara, because Alvin Kamara, I know Alvin Kamara owners are probably licking their chops, hoping that Drew Brees does indeed returns next week, because that is what's supposed to happen. He's supposed to return next week, which is going to be a great thing for Alvin Kamara again. But hopefully the Alvin Kamara owner either A, has a bye, or B, can get through this week, because it has not been good with Alvin Kamara. Even last week, he had a bounce back game, I think, last week a little bit, did find the end zone, but it still wasn't. It wasn't nothing what you're accustomed to with Alvin Kamara. He's essentially turned into like a high end RB1 at this point. So I think depending on your options this week, you could actually feel confident about sitting, especially against Philly. Philadelphia's run defense has been excellent this year. They've done a good job of really shutting that down. So I don't feel as high about Alvin Kamara this week. But anyways, Bobby got let's see, Mostert, Gordon, and Mike Davis pick 2. For me, I'm going to say 1, Melvin Gordon. I love Melvin Gordon this week. I think he's a great play this week, coming off a strong game against Kansas City. Carolina has really struggled to stop the run. And then, so it comes down to Mostert and Mike Davis for me. I would probably lean towards Mostert, even though I'm still hesitant with his usage, but he is the most explosive of the two. And so that's why I would probably just feel a little bit more closer of going Mostert over Mike Davis. Because I will say with Mike Davis, we have seen in games where they haven't wanted to use him as much as a pass catcher. And I think some of that's due to what they've been doing with Curtis Samuel, right? When Curtis Samuel's explosion happened and when he started to kind of take off was, I think, kind of hurt Mike Davis in a sense, because they were using him in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's the one scary part with Mostert is we just saw a lot of snaps for Jeff Wilson Jr., which was kind of concerning. But the work was there. He did out carry him 9 carries to 7. I just may think the game script a little bit, and him coming back off the injury was something where they're going to work him in a little bit more. So I do think I want the 49ers back regardless. So I'm going to take Mostert. Gordon, it's funny, man. We go back and forth on Gordon. We like Phillip Lindsay better most weeks, but it just seems like this last week, Gordon had a really good game, and I think both him and Lindsay can tear up this Carolina rushing defense. So I will go in agreement with you, Mostert and Gordon.
All right, and really quickly, so far I have not seen any DeAndre Washington questions, which I find interesting, because I just want to say this really quickly on him. Like, I think he's actually a really solid play today. Like, if he's out there on any of your waiver wires and you are running out, depending on what you may have available to you, like, he is, to me, is a top 15 to 20 running back today. Like, I know people look at Myles Gaskin and like have been kind of impressed with what he's done this year, but to me, he's been pretty average in my opinion. He's just gotten all the opportunities. Like, he doesn't have it's not like he's been out here just crushing it, right? He's not been James Robinson who's been putting up these monster performances. He's just been a really solid middle of the pack, like RB2 in my opinion. And DeAndre Washington is just as good as Myles Gaskin is. It's just him and Patrick Laird. So he's going to see a lot of work. We did see a couple of weeks ago when this kind of situation was a little bit similar, and he got 48% of the snaps. He carried the ball 13 times, got 5 targets, so he's also a capable pass catcher. So if somehow DeAndre Washington is still sitting out on your waiver and you're needing a piece, like, I think that he's a really good play today as well. But anyway, Sean, back with us again from YouTube. Need 1 PPR flex: Gio, Juju, Devante Parker, Raheem Mostert.
And that's close for me. I think it's close between the last two. You were just talking about the Dolphins going up against your Kansas City Chiefs. I do think they're going to have to pass a little bit more to keep up with the Chiefs offense, which probably makes DeAndre Washington a little bit risky of an option, especially, with an unknown backfield. I think they do lean on him more than Laird, but that's definitely a risky play there. I do think the passing volume will be there for Tua, and by default, Devante Parker. So I do like him. Raheem Mostert's right there, though, so maybe you can split. Hopefully you don't go a different direction, but between those two would be my options.
Well, so for me, like, I think Gio would be a really interesting play here, too, just because Dallas's defense, especially the run defense, has been fucking trash this year. Yep. And But we just saw last week where 3 running backs had over 70 yards against them. 3 separate running backs. Like, that's insane, right? And so, like, Gio just to me stands out as a really strong play this week. He's gonna be involved as a pass catcher. I will say the only concerning thing for me is the fact that despite losing Joe Burrow, this offense still just wants to chuck the ball the entire game. Like, they are not really trying to run the ball that much. Gio is not seeing a ton of carries in that respect, but he still is the pass catching running back here. But with the options that are before me, I think it comes down to Gio, Juju, and Devante Parker for me with these 3 options. And I would probably end up going Devante Parker.
Yeah, I just think we unless this game goes really in a different direction, I think the Dolphins are going to have to throw to keep up. I think that means a lot of attempts or a lot of targets for him and Mike Gesicki. You and I talked about Gio earlier this week, and you're right. It's a really poor run defense. Now we haven't seen Gio or this rushing attack for Cincy do anything anyways. If we go back to Baltimore, obviously they have a much better rushing. They're number 1 in the league. So that's what's tough for me is, yes, Baltimore and most teams have ran all over them. I don't know if they give Gio that workload. Does he get 10 rushes for 50 yards and that's it? I guess that's the question for me with Gio. Not quite as high on him, but yeah, I would go Parker, probably Mostert as my second one.
Yeah, Cody was put on the reserve list. Hope he gets better soon. Hopefully he does too, because if not, I'm going to be doing the waiver show by myself tonight. So, I've done it solo before. I can do it solo again. So, anyways, let's keep it moving. Sean's got another question. PPR needs 1 tight end, Jordan Reed, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Eifert, Irv Smith. For me, this comes down to Dalton Schultz and Irv Smith. With Kyle Rudolph ruled out, like, he becomes a really interesting play because of the, but I'm not playing Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed got bailed out last week by that garbage time touchdown at the very end. He wasn't all that involved in the offense other than that. And then Tyler Eifert also does make some sense. He's been running a lot of routes for them as well over the last 4 weeks. I know he's top 12. Let me see. I just had it pulled up a second ago where he ranks up. So Dalton Schultz, over the last 4 games, Dalton Schultz is 12th in routes run over the last 4 weeks. And then you have Tyler Eifert, who's actually 10th in routes run over the last 4 weeks. So both of them have been utilized and seeing targets. But for me, I think I would probably lean towards Dalton Schultz. I really like Dalton Schultz a lot. And I think this is a really good matchup. Cincinnati's has been terrible against the tight end position. So I do like Dalton Schultz this week.
Yeah, I think Dalton Schultz is the name that stands out from this list. I'll throw out another name and see how you like him compared to Schultz. Jordan Akins. Against that Chicago secondary. You think Chicago secondary and you're worried about it, but they've been very porous against tight end. They're actually 4th worst against the tight end position. I think that's where we've seen teams have success is finding their tight end against that defense. I'm sure he's probably out there on most waivers. That'd be a guy that I would probably play. I'll probably maybe lean Schultz a little bit more, but I do think Akins is worth a strong consideration.
Yeah, but I think for people that are looking for tight ends and they're wanting to stream one this week, like Jordan Akins certainly is in play, especially if Brandon Cooks gets rolled out. Mm-hmm. We have to wait and see because, listen, people, like we've said this before and I'm going to say it again, never listen to Ian Rappaport. Like, Ian Rappaport is so wrong. It's not even funny. Like, it's just awful how often he's wrong on his reports, whether it be playing Tom, whether it be if a guy's playing or not. So I do always try to wait for the Adam Schefter confirmation because I can trust him. Because it's funny because, like, last night, it was about 8 or 9 hours ago, actually, overnight, he tweeted out that Schefter did that he was expected to play, and then this morning, Rappaport tweets that he's not playing. So we'll have to wait and see if we get official confirmation. But I do think a couple other options people really look for. Cole Kmet, I think, is also definitely somebody that you could probably look at streaming this week. Going against Houston, Houston's pass defense has not been very good. He's only played over the last 4 weeks, but he's only played 3 of those. He still runs 71 routes. He's received 12 targets, 16% of the target share in that offense. So I do like Cole Kmet as another option for people if you're looking to stream a tight end this week, depending on your league size. Yeah,
Sean, what I would say is that I think Dalton Schultz is that safe option. If you want, 4 for 40, which we see a lot of tight ends get, I think that's fine. If you're maybe behind in your matchup, maybe your opponent had the Rams defense and you need a home run play, I think one of these other options has a potential, especially if Cooks is out. Akins potentially has a more boom potential there. So That'd be my advice in that situation. Dalton Schultz, if you need just the few points there, and then if you need more boom, maybe go Akins or Komet.
Yeah. So half point PPR Tam again, flex Mostert, Hunt, and Cooks.
Yeah,
this was
Kareem
tough
Hunt
for me because Kareem Hunt has not been as involved.
Yeah. Yep.
But this is a game against Baltimore where, I mean, last week they pretty much wrecked house, against Tennessee. So they didn't really have to do as much with him, especially with how quickly they got up and got a big lead and able to kind of lean on Chubb a little bit. I'd probably say Cooks, but if he does not play, if he is indeed out, I would probably then go Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I think I like Mostert bouncing back a little bit more. He looked good when he was out on the field. I know the touches weren't where we wanted them to be, but he popped on every run. I think he had nearly 50 yards in just 9 attempts. So I do like Mostert, and if he continues to build back towards his previous workload, we saw before his injuries, he was an absolute plug and play running back. So I'm going to go Mostert here. If Cooks does play, he'd be my second option.
Yeah, I don't mind him either. I just think that I feel like a little bit more of a secure role for Kareem Hunt in this matchup. Like, I think they get back to utilizing him a little bit more, and I think he has the opportunity to see more pass catching work as well in a game against Baltimore. This is going to be, a pretty big game, not just for both these guys, but for seeding as well. Like, Baltimore kind of needs to pretty much try to win every single game and not be in danger of missing the playoffs because of their run they went on. So, Sean, with another question: Big Ben, Kirk Cousins, or Matt Stafford this week? Where are you at with this?
Yeah, they're all pretty close. The only one I actually have as a fringe QB1 is Big Ben. I think just with his plethora of options, we've even seen James Washington start to get involved in that receiving game. I do like Big Ben, probably as my top guy. Really close right behind him. I do have Stafford. Stafford 4 touchdowns last week against a tough Chicago secondary, which was encouraging to see. I'm not going to go back to the well with the 4 touchdowns, but I do think Stafford, even without Galladay, that thumb is a non-issue for me. I know he has that questionable tag, but he obviously played just fine last week. I'll have him as my second, but Big Ben will be my choice.
Yeah, I probably would still lead Big Ben. I will say with Matt Stafford, it was encouraging to see what they did with him last week, or with this entire offense in general. And they will be getting DeAndre Swift back, so that is a boost to this offense and the passing attack because he's their best pass catcher out of the backfield as well. So it is good to see DeAndre Swift back. No Kenny Galladay. I am 100% convinced that this is a business decision for Kenny Galladay. The way that he is multiple times, he's come to practice, then he's left, and he comes back, and every week it's like this. Like, I think because he is a free agent after this year, right? And so he is 27, turns 28 next season. Like, this is his only opportunity to really cash in and get a good contract to kind of take care of him for the rest of his life, right? Because with him being 27, 28, let's say he gets a 4-year deal, likelihood of him getting another deal after this is pretty slim. So because of how old he is, because he is an older player, even though he's coming off his rookie contract, but he came out as an older player. So I feel like this is probably more of a business decision by him, not so much that he's just trying to sit out. Because if he gets seriously hurt, and then it somehow affects him for free agency heading into that. Like, that's all I feel like. This is kind of like the AJ Green situation of last year where he was because why haven't they put him on IR? Like, they've held up a roster spot for him. So regardless of that, I just wanted to get that in there. But anyways, like you mentioned, some things that really impressed me was last week was how aggressive they were with Darren Bevel. And that's exactly what they talked about, is basically that they wanted to come out and just be super aggressive, let it fly. And that's what they did. I mean, he averaged 13.1 air yards per attempt, which is the second highest total of his entire career. The number one he had in his career was actually against Green Bay, and he completed 16 passes of 10-plus yards. Like, that is super impressive for them. They are definitely trying to air it out, despite the fact that they didn't even have Kenny Galladay. And over the last 4 weeks, Stafford has been a QB1. He's been QB10, ranked 6th in pass yards, and he is with 1,000 yards passing and 7 touchdowns, so which is also 7th. So, and Green Bay, I think this is a game that's going to be somewhat of a shootout. So, with that being said, for people that own Stafford, really, I do like him quite a bit this week, but I would lean towards Big Ben in this matchup against Buffalo tonight. Definitely a defense you can throw all over. So that game feels a lot like a shootout to me as well.
Yeah, it should be. The over and under is 54.5. So Vegas definitely agrees with you. Yeah, I do not think Stafford is a bad option at all.
Yeah. So, all right, Max, I was 2-6. I just went on a winning streak to get the 6th seed in a 12-man league. I almost missed the playoffs, but thanks to you guys, I made it. Let's go. Let's win a championship. Nice little comeback story, Max. We're going to win that ship. So, all right, Mason, DeAndre Hopkins, or Chris Godwin?
Yeah. I think I'm still going to go Hopkins there.
I think you have to too, but man. Yeah, I'm gonna go Hopkins.
Can he start both? Like this is an interesting question if you have to bench Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what is the rest of your team, Mason? Like, what are you rocking with everybody else to see if there's a way we can fit both of them in? Because I do like Chris Godwin quite a bit this week going up against Minnesota, and he gets actually the best matchup of the three Bucs wide receivers this week because Godwin plays 60% of his snaps from the slot, and Jeff Gladney is their slot corner, and he has been atrocious this year. So I do like Chris Godwin quite a bit today, but yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. Big T rocking with us again in the chat. Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, Devante Parker, Amari Cooper, Jarvis Landry, Robby Anderson. Start 3. I think I'm going Deontay Johnson, Devante Parker for sure, and then I think I'm going to go Robby Anderson.
Yeah, I was really along those same thoughts. It's closer with Cooper and Robby Anderson for me. That Cincy defense, I think, can be had. We've seen Cooper survive this quarterback lull or a drop off to Andy Dalton. Cooper has been able to weather the storm a little bit, but with DJ Moore out, I think Robby Anderson is kind of that guy to go to. And let's talk about the Denver secondary. I mean, they're missing everybody. Boye's out. I believe their other 2 starting cornerbacks are also out. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, Bryce Callahan and Bassey are both out. So I think that is really enticing to start Robby Anderson. I would go Deontay and Devante and then Robby Anderson.
It is close because I do like Amari Cooper quite a bit, but as well, especially in this matchup against Cincy. But yeah, it would just be, I think, Devante Parker in a negative game script. They're going to have to throw the ball. He's kind of the only guy. It's basically between him and Gesicki at this point, with losing Preston Williams, and they're basically using like Jakeem Grant and guys like that back there, in the wide receiver core. So, and they're missing Myles Gaskin. So, I mean, Devante Parker should see 10 to 12 targets today. And the Chiefs have really struggled to stop the deep ball. So if they can hit on a couple deep balls at Devante Parker, I think that, that spells well for him.
Right. And I know Big T is probably wondering why we're not suggesting Jarvis Landry, coming off back-to-back touchdown games. 2 weeks ago, he had 143 yards. I just think this matchup against the Ravens and specifically Marlon Humphrey with Jarvis in the slot is lowering. I'm not really excited about anybody in this Browns passing attack. I think, like we said earlier, they're going to run. So that's why Jarvis is just a little bit lower for me this week, coming off 2 really good weeks, but I'll have him behind those 3.
Yeah, so Marlon Humphrey, typically whenever the Ravens go to, or when the opposing offenses go to 3 wide receiver set, Marlon Humphrey typically goes into the slot and plays the slot with Marcus Peters and Jimmy Smith on the outside. So that is why I definitely agree with Jarvis Landry. I'm much lower on him than I have been. We'll be back on the Jarvis Landry train probably next week because I was big on Jarvis Landry once the OBJ news broke that he was going to be out for the year, but I'm not as excited about him this week going against Marlon Humphrey, who's one of the best corners on all of football. So this is another one from Sean. Need one flex with most upside. DJ Chark, Michael Gallup, Jarvis Landry, Duke Johnson, DeAndre Washington. It comes down to 2 guys for me, Michael Gallup and DeAndre Washington. I love Michael Gallup. Love Michael Gallup this week. And we've seen the rapport with Andy Dalton. He has shown the willingness to target Michael Gallup quite a bit. Last week, I think he had 11 targets, found the end zone. Like, he's looked pretty solid with Andy Dalton. And this matchup going against Cincinnati, like we just talked about, I do like Michael Gallup has 25-point upside in this matchup here against Cincinnati. And then we kind of talked about DeAndre Washington. I think DeAndre Washington's play, but with this being a standard league, I still would probably go. I would probably go Michael Gallup because I think he has the most upside for a touchdown.
Man, this is a tough list. This is a really tough list, and especially when you throw in standard, that makes it closer. I personally can't roll out DeAndre Washington. I hear what you're saying. I just think the risk is just so high there. It's probably between Gallup and DJ Chark for me. I will say Chark was absent for like the first 3 quarters of that game, and then they really started connecting him and Mike Glennon in the later third quarter and the fourth quarter last week. DJ Chark going up against Tennessee Titans. This Tennessee Titans secondary is just so hot and cold, and they're missing a couple pieces. Jacksonville's at home, the 52.5 over under. I think DJ Chark is probably my highest boom guy there. I do think if anyone's going to score, it's probably going to be him. So I'll go DJ Chark. But Gallup looked really good last week. I do think the Cowboys rotate their go-to guy. It seems like every week it's a little bit of Lamb, it's a little bit of Cooper, then it's Gallup. So he could go right back to the shelf this next week. We'll see. So I'll go Chark and then Gallup.
All right. Well, hopefully that helps. Let's see. Josh Allen.
Someone text Cody and have him break the tie here.
Yeah. Josh Allen or Justin Herbert? Oh,
I really like Justin Herbert this week. Absolutely like Justin Herbert this week. Atlanta I know their defense has gotten slightly better, the past couple weeks here, but Herbert, he was rough last week. I mean, they just got annihilated by the Patriots, but Herbert's been absolutely on fire. Josh Allen as well, in his own right, has been really good. A little bit tougher of a matchup this week against Pittsburgh. I think this is Herbert.
Yes, I agree. I would go Justin Herbert against this really, really bad Atlanta secondary. This is a great bounce back spot. I still don't understand how they got the brakes beat off of them 45-0 by the Patriots.
Wild.
But regardless, yeah. Taysom Hill or Lamar Jackson. This is Lamar Jackson for me.
Yeah, I do like Taysom Hill. He's been playing really well. Tougher matchup, though. I'm going to go Lamar, but it's definitely close for me.
Yeah. Okay. Graham in the chat from the YouTube. Pick 3, full PPR, Allen Robinson, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Thomas.
Oh, gosh.
I would hate to be you every week, Graham, trying to make this decision, figuring this out.
Diggs is the interesting one, right? I think Diggs has been just obviously amazing this entire year. Yeah, get the hat on. Give him the goods. Diggs is the interesting one here because I'm starting Allen, A.J. Brown, and then it gets a little bit closer for Stephon Diggs and Michael Thomas for me, both in tougher matchups. I got to keep with Michael Thomas's absolute crazy target share. I'm probably going to sit Diggs.
Yeah, it comes down to A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs for me. I can't sit Allen Robinson.
A.J. Brown against Jacksonville secondary, which, I mean, if you're
the wide receiver facing them. The concern with him, and here would be my only concern with him, is that if they were able to just dominate this game by running the ball, and which we know that they can, because A.J. Brown is much more of a splash play, right? He's not out here getting 15 targets. He's not the guy that's getting 8 receptions for 100. I mean, he's getting 4 receptions for 100 yards, but it's because of how damn explosive he is. He's kind of like Tyreek Hill, right? Very boom or bust. And so for me, it does come down, like, you have to be able to tell yourself a story with that Jacksonville is going to keep the game close. Now, I will say this: Jacksonville has kept games close all year. Yeah, they have not been getting blown out. We keep talking about Jacksonville, like they just been getting run all over, and it just hasn't been the case. They've been able to keep every single game close, and there's multiple games in there against teams that they've really outplayed people's expectations. So it does come down to A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs to me of who I would sit, and I would probably still go A.J. Brown slightly. But this is tough because I have all 3 as top 10 options this week, or all 4, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen A.J. Brown even with a lower passing volume, right? He still gets it done. You're right. He's only gotten 4 receptions the last 3 weeks, but we're talking about 62 yards and a touchdown, 98 and a touchdown, 87, no touchdown last week. I can't sit A.J. Brown. I think the matchup is too great. He's a top 5 option for me. He's highest outside of Allen Robinson. I'm sitting Diggs, but I don't think you can make a wrong call with this. I do think Diggs will still be fine. I know it's a tougher matchup there with the Steelers, but if anyone's going to ball out, I think it would be him or Cole Beasley, out of nowhere, right? Cole Beasley, obviously, with the fantastic game last week, helped a lot of people get into the playoffs. But yeah, I'm probably sitting Diggs.
By the way, I believe it is now official. Yes, it is official. Brandon Cooks is out.
Yeah, that probably doesn't change a lot of our answers. I think we were.
No, I was just wanted to put it out there that he is actually out. So, so you don't have to worry about that. At least it's not something they're going to be running. Kiki Kuti and Chad Hansen.
Any interest with Chad Hansen? I know I've seen on Twitter a little bit. People are having the question of having to start him sometimes in their flex. Any interest in Chad Hansen?
I mean, I guess you could in like a PPR format, but it'd have to be a deeper league. Like there's other options that I guarantee you are, like Colin Johnson would be a guy that I actually really like. He's really been like Mike Glennon, one of his favorite, if not his favorite target, since he has taken over as the quarterback here in this offense, and he's played pretty well over the last couple of weeks. So I think he has double-digit fantasy points in each of the last 2 games. So I like Colin Johnson a lot. Not a lot of people have picked him up, and that's mainly because he plays for Jacksonville, and people just don't want to be involved in that offense. But to be honest with you, you can get you're playing a player who we know they're going to have to throw the ball because they're always going to be trailing or they're going to be from behind. So I like Colin Johnson as a flex option as well this week as somebody you could go with. If you're a Brandon Cooks owner and you're looking for someone to start, like I think he's in play. I would much rather play Colin Johnson than Chad Hansen.
I agree. Yeah, I think just the matchup alone in the Bears. And again, we saw the Lions throw 4 touchdowns against them, but I do still respect that Bears secondary a lot. This downgrades Watson a little bit for me. He's still going to be a QB1, but he's going to be on the fringe there. I'll probably play someone like Brady over him. Taysom Hill, I'll probably play over him. So downgrades Watson a little bit for me. But yeah, I'm not rolling out Chad Hansen if I can afford not to.
I apologize, Walito. I always forget to put it on whenever I come in here. It's always right next to me, right here. It's always within an arm's reach away. But anyways, would you play DeAndre Washington over Miles Sanders? And I think this is actually a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, it sounds like you would from your opening statement on DeAndre Washington. Man,
I think I would. I think he offers more upside than what Miles Sanders does. It's hard with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders hasn't scored more than 9 fantasy points since week 10. And the only question mark I have, and it's like what I talked about in our running back video that me and Cody did earlier in this week, was does this actually help out Miles Sanders more with having Jalen Hurts? Because having a true dual threat running back there kind of opens things up. It unclogs the rush lanes. However, they are facing, if not the best, one of the best run defenses in all of football. They have not, over the last 4 weeks, they've only allowed, it's about 62 rushing yards per game. So if Miles Sanders is going to get there for you, it's got to be through the air. And that's the other question mark is he going to want to utilize a pass or the running back as out of the backfield, on screens and stuff like that? Because what we end up seeing from these guys is instead of checking it down to their running back, they run just like Taysom Hill, like we've seen with Alvin Kamara and what it's done to him. So I think DeAndre Washington just has a higher ceiling than what Miles Sanders. Plus, fuck Doug Peterson and wanting to give every other running back not named Miles Sanders the goal line work. Whenever, what was it, a couple weeks ago when they gave it to Corey Clement, had 1 snap, 1 touch on the fucking goal line and took away his fucking touchdown, even though Miles Sanders got him all the way down there, and then let's pull his ass out. So it's just frustrating with Miles Sanders right now. So I would probably play DeAndre Washington over Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. This really helps out. I mean, we've seen, Damian Harris and Sony Michel have great yards per carry there with Cam in the backfield. I think that's a great example you can look towards. Sony Michel, who's never been, I would say a great yards per carry back, right? He's having one of his better seasons just on a per touch basis with Cam back there. Now the downside is that passing game is not going to get there. We've seen Taysom Hill kind of eliminate Alvin Kamara's passing game, and Miles Sanders, with the short amount of time we've seen with Hurts, has not been getting any passing work. So I do think that limits his ceiling a little bit. It's risky for me to play Washington. I probably am still going Miles Sanders. I think you are correct, though. If you want to say who has more upside, the upside for Washington is he gets the work. They don't really trust Laird. He's in there as they're trying to play catch up against the Chiefs. I do think that's a narrative I could spin for a ceiling. So, yeah, if we're talking about upside, I would go Washington, but Miles Sanders for me.
Yeah, it's tough. Who thought we would be here with Miles Sanders? I do like Miles Sanders a lot. I still like him as a player. I think he's an excellent running back. I just hope they get this thing figured out heading into next year. Regardless of that, we don't have time to go through any more than that. Damani Strasner, PPR flex, Corey Davis, Devante Parker, Tim Patrick. This is 100% Corey Davis for me. Love Corey Davis.
Yeah, it's tough to sit Corey Davis. I mean, he's absolutely had this almost Devante Parker-like resurgence so late in his career, right? But after a couple of down seasons, disappointing seasons, he's really absolutely gone off. I think kind of going back to what we said about A.J. Brown, the matchup is there. So I do like Corey Davis in that perspective. I do think Parker absolutely gets peppered with some targets here. I do think he has the higher volume. That sounds like a lot of fence straddling there. I'll agree with you that Corey Davis is probably that higher upside player. So yeah, I'll go Corey Davis.
So with Corey Davis, but we probably should have saw this coming last year, to be honest with you, because if you looked, and especially over the final month and the playoffs, he started becoming more and more and more involved in the playoffs. He was actually Ryan Tannehill's go-to guy in the playoffs last year, and we should have probably seen this coming a little bit more. I remember talking about him over the offseason, kind of bringing him up a little bit, and it was always kind of met with a chuckle. And But we saw this coming with a little bit with Corey Davis, and contract year never fails for the win, because he is also in a contract year. He will be a free agent after this year. I'm going to say this: the free agency class of 2021 is going to be fucking insane. There is so many guys that are going to be available: Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Corey Davis. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that I don't have the full list pulled up.
Galladay, you said. Yeah,
Kenny Galladay. They got running back. You have Aaron Jones, depending on what the Packers do with him. Chris Carson, James Conner. This whole entire class is going to be wild. We're going to get a lot of movement over this offseason, so it's going to be something to monitor. We'll have a lot of content coming out for that whenever we get there in February, or in early March. Anyways, let's win some championships. Full PPR, Wayne Gallman, AB, CD, or Debo. Full PPR. I'm going to go Antonio Brown here.
Really? I think if you're going a wide receiver there, it's probably CD or Debo for me. I think AB's last on this list for me. AB hasn't been that player that we thought he'd be with the breakout. CD, he didn't find the end zone, and I think his yards per catch was low, but he got quite a bit of run, especially early in that game against the Ravens, and he obviously faces a much easier secondary in the Bengals. So I really like that. Debo has fallen behind Ayuk as that alpha wide receiver. He's now kind of behind Ayuk a little bit, but they've still been finding ways to get Debo the ball. I'm going to probably go CD first, Debo, then Wayne Gallman. AB's last for me.
Yeah. So right now, it comes down to Wayne Gallman for me, and Debo and Antonio Brown are probably the guys that I would probably put it between. Obviously, so I think if you're looking for ceiling, I think you go. I think you go Debo. I think he has a 20, 25 point ceiling. However, the matchup is not particularly great.
Yeah.
Going against Washington, their secondary, they have been great against the pass. I think they're top 10. I know they're top 10 in pass DVOA. I think they might be top 5 in pass DVOA.
They're against the run too. Yeah, they're just an overall good defense.
So it's tough to play him, but we have seen in other weeks, what his ceiling can be. What worries me with Wayne Gallman is I like Wayne Gallman quite a bit too. It's just he's just not a ceiling guy. He's going to get you like 15, 16 fantasy points because he doesn't offer you anything in the passing game. In a full PPR, it's tough, but he can also rush in 2 touchdowns. And so like he is kind of touchdown dependent on how well he's going to be able to do for you against this Arizona defense, which you can run on Arizona. That's not really a concern here, but that's what worries me with Wayne Gallman. And then I come down, okay, now let's look at AB. Well, while AB has not certainly been the guy that I think we all hoped, and I was hoping that maybe Mike Evans out this week would bring some goodness to Antonio Brown, but that's not the case. But I still think that you could probably figure him for 7 to 8, maybe 9 targets in this game. Like I said, who's going to get the worst matchup here is Mike Evans. So I don't mind AB in this spot, and so like I probably go AB and coming off the bye and everything else, and that's why I go him.
Yeah, I think those 3 wide receivers are really, really close. And kind of digging into it a little bit more, the reason I was a little bit hesitant with Wayne Gallman is kind of what you're saying. He's just not involved in the receiving game, so you can't really count anything in from there from a PPR standpoint. But he has been getting a lot of work. I mean, we're talking about 16 rushes last week, 24 the week before, 18 the week before that. Like, they are just going all in with him. Daniel Jones coming back, does that change at all? I don't think it does. So I think if you just want kind of safe points and a potential touchdown, the Cardinals are not great at stopping the run. I do think Gallman's kind of a guy where you can rely on him to get you 50 yards, have a good shot at a touchdown. Past that though, these 3 wide receivers are all really, really close. I'm still going to stick with CD. I do like that matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. No, yeah. So, like I said, I somewhat agree. I think that if you're wanting for a safe floor, I think it's Wayne Gallman. But if not, I do like Antonio Brown out of this. Try to get this moving a little bit faster. We're almost 30 minutes behind the chat, so we got to try to move this along. We're almost only 40 minutes away till the end of the show. So, with Brandon Cooks out, is Kiki a start over Miles Sanders and Cole Beasley? PPR, I'm leaning Kiki. I would probably end up playing Kiki in this spot now.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, he could see 20 targets today. Like there's just nobody else there for them to throw the ball to. So as much as I do like Cole Beasley quite a bit as well, but I just can't play him over Kiki Kuti, and I'm not playing Miles Sanders over him either.
Yep.
All right. Full PPR, Big T back in the chat, rocking with us. Full PPR, start 2. Carson, Gallman, McKissick. It's definitely Carson. And then it comes down between Gallman and McKissick. Obviously, Antonio Gibson is out. It's Peyton Barber. Here we are again, 2020, and we're talking about Peyton Barber, the most average Jag running back in the league. But
Kev, because this is PPR, we've seen 3 weeks now where McKissick just gets absolutely peppered with double-digit targets. I think that's what kind of turns the table over Gallman. Can Gallman have a much better game on the ground, have a better chance at a touchdown? Absolutely. But McKissick could be saved by 7 receptions on his own. If he gets 7 receptions, whatever else he gets on top of it, that's your floor, right? Like, we've seen Alex Smith just give him targets left, right, and center. So I'm going to go McKissick because it's full PPR.
I think one really good example of that, too, is what we just saw from Cam Akers this past week, where he just went just crushed it, right? 170 rushing yards, I think it was.
171,
but he still only scored you like 22, which isn't bad. I mean, obviously, we're all taking 22 fantasy points whenever we can get it. But that game on paper, with what you look at, it made it feel like he should have scored 35 and not 22. But he never found the end zone, and he only had, 2 receptions, I think it was. So he wasn't heavily involved in the passing game. So if they don't find the end zone and they don't have the pass-catching volume, a good example, J.D. McKissick last week, he didn't have a great game by any means, but he still scored, I think, 17 fantasy points because he was hammered with all these receptions. So that pass-catching work just matters so much. So for me, it would be Carson and McKissick. I would agree on that. Swamp Nola, half PPR, Aguilar, Perriman, or Pittman. We're really reaching down here on this one. This would be one of those times where we just talked about with a guy like Colin Johnson, where I would be entertained with these options. But there is no Denzel Mims for Rashad Perriman. I know there is actually a lot of steam going around with Sam Darnold this week, and people are wanting to play Sam Darnold in DFS. Now, this isn't DFS, but still, if people are wanting to put American dollars on Sam Darnold, I think that should raise some eyebrows for people. Couldn't be me, but regardless, this is a Seattle defense that has been terrible. So I get the wanting to play Rashad Perriman, especially without Denzel Mims, because they're kind of redundant assets, right? They're both kind of that deep threat, though I do think Denzel Mims is a much better wide receiver than Rashad Perriman. But I digress. And then you have Aguilar, who's kind of all over the place in terms of usage, in terms of his volume. Indianapolis defense has been pretty strong. And then you have Michael Pittman on the other side, who's, I don't care what Raider secondary is going to be covering him. But we've seen T.Y. Hilton kind of jump back in and really start to get a larger workload here as well. So I think this is a much closer question. I would probably lean Michael Pittman, but I do think Rashad Perriman has a really solid ceiling, or a really the chance to hit 20 fantasy points. It wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned Jamison Crowder, who is very questionable right now to play. If he is, there's been reports that he might just be an emergency wide receiver there. So I do think Perriman gets quite a bit of looks in this game. Seattle has played much better, now that Jamal Adams is back. Now they got Carlos Dunlap from the Bengals. Their defense is much better. So it's not that, hey, I want to start every single wide receiver versus Seattle. But I think Perriman's kind of that last man in town. We've seen kind of that last man in town mentality get good, average to good, fantasy value, whether it's been Mims, Crowder, whoever's kind of the only guy left in town there. So I'll go Perriman as the option there.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, if you want to go Perriman, I would definitely. It's really close for me. So I do not mind Rashad Perriman at all in this matchup. Brady Lady. I don't know if that was meant to say that there, Tom. But regardless, Brady or Watson.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who that second name could be. Yeah, I don't know what that second name could be. I did drop Watson to QB 11. He's right behind Tom Brady. I'm going to go Tom Brady against the Minnesota secondary that is just rough. A lot of rookies still playing, still not quite figuring it out for them. I'll go Tom Brady.
I would agree. Yeah, it's Tom Brady for sure. Kiki's a must start, or will he be looked up? Will he be looked up by the Bears team?
Locked up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Start him over AB or Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I can't. I'm going to go Kiki there. I mean, he's not wrong. The Bears secondary, outside of last week, has been very shut down. Kiki just seems to have, obviously a good rapport already with Watson, and I do think he sees the volume in this game.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I do like Tim Patrick quite a bit as well. I think he's another guy that's been really underrated this year, but I do like him a little bit more. I feel like this is a spot that I would just much rather play him. I think that you could guarantee, and I would much rather play a wide receiver that is getting targets from Deshaun Watson than from Drew Lock. So, yeah. So, Ben or Taysom Hill, I'm going Big Ben.
Oh,
it is much closer. I have them both really, really close to each other, but it would probably be Ben for me.
Yeah, I might go Taysom Hill there. He's been a top 8 quarterback, top 7 quarterback actually since taking over the starting job with Breeze out. So,
I know this may not be. We'll see if I end up regretting this take afterwards. But I think this could be the game that actually Taysom Hill gets exposed. He hasn't. They haven't been put into a spot where they have to throw the ball at all and really open up. They've really been able to control the game a little bit, and so I feel like this could possibly be that game. With Jalen Hurts now in this offense, and if this offense could really get going, look like the offense it did at the end of the game, against the Packers last week, if they could put some pressure, and this defense is good enough to really make life tough for Taysom Hill back there as well. I mean, we see they played pretty well. The defense played pretty well against Russell Wilson and that offense and stuff like that. So I will say, I just think it's a little bit interesting. I do like Taysom Hill, but I would just lean towards Big Ben and what feels like it could be a really shootout.
Yeah, it's obviously a much tougher matchup than what Taysom Hill had last week versus Atlanta, but he did throw 37 times against Atlanta through 2 touchdowns. So easier secondary, totally understand that. But I'm not worried about Darius Slay. On Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas will go. And then he's averaging, 12 rushes in the past 3 games. So his rushing floor is just amazing there. And I think anything on top will probably put him over Big Ben for me. And there's a potential boom there. If he gets the 2 rushing touchdowns, we're talking about a boom game from Taysom Hill that we won't see with Big Ben.
Yeah. So, Aiden, I picked up Cam Akers.
Yes.
Aiden, you must just be new to the show because we've been talking about picking up Cam Akers for the last month to pick him up. So welcome here. And if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button because if you notice in that bottom corner where you see that arrow pointing over to Allen Robinson jersey, we are giving away a signed Allen Robinson jersey to one of our subscribers. So all you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber, and we'll be giving that away on December 27th. On this very game day show, that is Week 16 championship. So hopefully we give away an Allen Robinson jersey, and then you win the championship and just have a great Christmas. So regardless of that, just make sure you're subscribed so you can be entered to win there. I picked up Cam Akers before his Week 14 performance. Do you think he has a better start than Mostert or Jonathan Taylor next week?
Ooh, I'd have to see those matchups. I don't have those off the top. Okay. Let's pop back to that question unless you have a great answer for him right now. I'll get
I can tell you right now. So the Colts play the Texans. Obviously a great matchup because the Texans' run defense is absolutely atrocious. And then you have the Rams.
The Cowboys. Yeah.
Oh, boy. And then the Rams are playing Seattle. Or no, is that next week? No, that's Week 16. I was looking at
the Rams are playing Jets. Yeah. Rams are at home versus the Jets.
That's tough. All of them have good matchups. Aiden?
That's very tough.
I would probably, at this juncture where we stand right now, without knowing more, we have to see what happens with Jonathan Taylor today. Because, I mean, listen, I made it no secret. I was not high on Jonathan Taylor about a month ago, okay? And even though if you went 2 months prior to that, before the season started, I was super high on Jonathan Taylor. Love Jonathan Taylor. But they seem to be starting to utilize him a little bit more. I still have questions about, long-term success. But regardless of that, he has looked much better recently. And they've had a much more willingness to give him the ball, even though that Frank Reich can be an idiot sometimes and just go with the hot hand and go with a guy like Jordan Wilkins or Naheem Hines, which is a scary thing for Jonathan Taylor. But at this point, I would say, yes, I would play Cam Akers over him, over these two. But it's close because I do think Jonathan Taylor is somebody that could end up crushing it. But ask us again next week. I know that's not a great answer, but it's really tough to answer a question, the week ahead without knowing everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, Kev, just real quick, are you willing to rescind your Trent Richardson comments on Jonathan Taylor, or are you sticking by them?
I am. It might have been a little premature with Jonathan Taylor, but at the same time, no. I want to see what he looks like for a full season. Like I said, I love Jonathan Taylor heading into the year. This wasn't I wasn't one of those people that are like, oh, I hate Jonathan Taylor. Now all of a sudden I'm gonna do a dance because I was right and my lock is now, or my take is now confirmed. Like it wasn't that. Like I love Jonathan Taylor heading into the year. I felt like it was him, DeAndre Swift. We're two of the best guys coming from this class, and and he really struggled, and his vision looked terrible. Like there would be times there'd be huge holes right over here, and he would just run right into the back of the offensive line. So there was definitely concerns with him, but we'll see. I mean, I hope he does work out. I like Jonathan Taylor. This isn't I hate Jonathan Taylor take, but I also try to adjust as things happen and as we get information instead of just sticking to my take on somebody.
Yep.
So
I think week one, I remember on our show, we were trying to push these running backs, and it was, hey, these rookie running backs sometimes take time. They're not all James Robinson come out the gate just balling. So some of them have taken time, and we're seeing now as we're closing in on the rest of the season, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift. A lot of these guys are J.K. Dobbins. Absolutely, they're guys that you want in your fantasy lineup, and that's why sometimes you need to have that patience with them. So we got to keep rolling though.
Yeah. So we got about 28 minutes left. Walito said Akers is a top 10 rest of season. Yes, I don't know about top 10. That's probably a little aggressive, but I do like Cam Akers quite a bit. Finally, they gave our man some work in that backfield. Let that man eat because he looked excellent. I wish he could have found the end zone, even though he had multiple opportunities to find the end zone and did not. Was stonewalled on the end zone. Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers. That's Matt Ryan for me.
I'm actually going to go Phillip Rivers
which is tougher because of Julio Jones being out. He has not played as well without Julio out there.
No, that's an overstatement. He's been horrendous without Julio Jones. Like Matt Ryan has been borderline not startable without Julio Jones, and I think that continues. Chargers secondary isn't great. They shipped off Desmond King, but it's enough where I'm not starting Matt Ryan. I would definitely go Philip Rivers here.
So let me ask this really quick too, because like Philip Rivers scares me because I think that one things that we've seen is when they get close to the goal line, they put Jacoby Brissett in because he's dealing with that what I believe is turf toe. For me, like I would rather pick somebody up off the waiver. Like I think there's probably guys out there on your waiver. Mitchell Trubisky. How do you feel about I like Mitchell Trubisky, Allen Robinson. Houston's defense has just been fucking awful. I do have question marks now with Houston missing so much on offense. Like, dude, does the Bears have to do as much to be able to push the ball here and to really open up the offense? But Mitchell Trubisky has looked like the better quarterback, and this offense looked much better with him at quarterback. But I do think I would rather play Mitchell Trubisky than these guys, I think for sure. If somehow Matt Stafford was available, obviously I would much rather play him. Because earlier in the week, Stafford was only rostered in like 60% of leagues. So he was somebody that was kind of available out there. Maybe people are concerned with the questionable mark that he had if he's out there. Like there's other quarterbacks that I would probably rather play. Kirk Cousins, I would probably rather play than these guys. Just because I think Philip Rivers has played well. Like don't get me wrong. But if they're able to get up quickly, for one, I think Jonathan Taylor could see a ton of targets here in this backfield, or a ton of opportunity in this backfield, and they just lean on him. Once they get down to the goal line, do they pull out Philip Rivers? He doesn't have the opportunity to really chuck the ball. So that's kind of the questions I have with him. Like Philip Rivers feels like a guy he's got to get you like 16 to 17 fantasy points, which isn't bad, but I'm always trying to find a guy that can get you 25 to 30.
Yeah, and that's. I'm glad you said that because I wanted to pull up Philip Rivers' numbers because I think he's been better than we actually think. We just don't. We see this Colts offense and we think they're going to be run first, but he's thrown the ball 44, 33, 43, 39, 36, 42, 35. They're throwing a ton, averaging in the high 30s there. And then his fantasy points, 25, 22, down week with 8, 16, 22, 18, 19. So I think there's no reason not to trust him. He's gotten you at least 18 fantasy points in every week except for one. Over the past 6 weeks. So Philip Rivers is an absolute start for me over Matt Ryan.
All right. Brandon Cooks being out, does that help QT or will that hurt him? No, I think it helps him. I mean, he's just going to see more volume in this offense. I mean, QT's not a guy they're going to like bracket coverage. They're going to double cover him or anything like that. Like that's not going to happen. So I don't think you really have to worry about that at all. So I think it actually helps him a little bit. He probably sees an uptick in targets even more so.
Yep. Next.
Well, there we go. It wouldn't click. I don't know what's going on there for a second. Thank you so much, Kevin and Robby. And get well soon, Cody. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate you rocking with us in the chat every single week. HW23, DeAndre Washington, Ty Johnson, or Frank Gore. I don't know how you don't say DeAndre Washington on this one, but if you're going to sell me on Ty Johnson, let's hear it.
No, I will go DeAndre Washington. Looks like Frank Gore will probably be out there. Just muddies an already unimpressive backfield for the Jets. I will go DeAndre Washington.
I absolutely agree. Let's see. 807 Chib 990.
Already famous, Kev. You're already famous. We can keep.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Over 800 subscribers. We really appreciate all you guys jumping in with us on a lot of these videos. We Kevin Cody. Let's not even say we. Kevin Cody have been rocking content this whole season. So appreciate you guys rocking with us as we climb to that 1,000 subscriber mark.
Yes, sir. Hate to ask him. Oh wait, I should probably put the question up. Hate to ask about a waiver for next week today, but on a bye week, my waiver is high. My waiver pick is high next week. Have room for waiver. Goff is on waiver. Would you play him over my QB2 Ben next week? My QB1 is Wilson. No. If you have Russell Wilson, I would just.
Yeah.
I guess they are playing Washington next week, which that feels kind of like a gross game. But if you already have, let me put it this way. But if you already have
playing the Bengals, Ben's playing the Bengals. You don't need a third quarterback, no.
No, and you probably don't even really need a second. But I could understand maybe in the playoffs with them playing Seattle or with them playing Washington. That's not a great matchup. That is a really good defense on the other side. So I would definitely, in that, if I was making a decision right now, I would probably rather play Big Ben against Cincinnati than playing who's the The Steelers have had no problem continuing to throw the ball, even when they're leading in games. They just continue to throw the ball at a crazy clip. So, no, I would stick with what you got there. Chris Godwin or Deontay Johnson from Alexis. This is close.
Very close. 17 for Deontay in my rankings, 18 for Godwin. Very, very, very close.
I would probably go Deontay just because I feel a little bit more secure with how many targets this man's going to get. But it is close. I love them both. Alexis, can you play both of them? Because like you have to be pretty stacked to not be able to play these guys.
Yeah.
So you who would you go with?
I'd go with Deontay, but I mean they're 17-18. Literally either or.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. Yeah, but I would slightly lean Deontay. Big T, Ryan Tannehill, Big Ben or Taysom Hill. For quarterback, currently I have Tannehill, feeling a big game from Henry. It is tough. So, like, I love Ryan Tannehill this week. I have Ryan Tannehill in the top 5. I love Tannehill this week. And we have seen games where Derrick Henry, if you go back to the Houston game, that both Tannehill and Derrick Henry really had good games, big games in that. Now, is it something that I would expect to happen all the time? No. But this is still a really good matchup. Like we've talked about, Jacksonville has been able to keep games close and keep games competitive. And as long as that happens, then Ryan Tannehill will have plenty of opportunities. So I do like Ryan Tannehill. That I would definitely go him over the other two options. If you did not want to, I would go Big Ben.
Yep, I think you're going Ryan Tannehill and not looking back.
Okay, so we agree there. So we don't have to have a discussion on that. Brian Hill back in the chat. I'm going back and forth between Tannehill and Watson. It's definitely Tannehill for me.
Absolutely.
KC defense or Indy. I would probably go Kansas City. It's super close. I think they're both good options this week.
Yeah, I'll go Kansas City as well.
All right, John Schultz. Who would you all start? Mike Davis, Cole Beasley, Amari Cooper, Duke Johnson. Standard league. Give me Amari.
Yeah, very, very close there. I'll probably lean Mike Davis a little bit more, but Amari is not a bad option either.
Should I start Jacobs or Mike Davis? Jacobs is expected to play today, so people know that.
Jacobs is expected to play, and I will go Josh Jacobs.
It is. I will say this: it is a little bit risky, especially because I believe they do have DeForest Buckner back, and they've been better against the run with him in there. But I could easily project Josh Jacobs touches than I can for Mike Davis. It is tough because, but I will go with Josh Jacobs here in this matchup. Wilson or Tannehill? It's Wilson.
Yes, Wilson
against the Jets. Like yes, please sign me up for that. FYB, Jeff Wilson, Michael Pittman, or Miles Sanders, non-PPR. This is where we're at. I'm gonna go Miles Sanders here, and I hate myself.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, let's go Miles Sanders. Don't feel great about it at all.
I appreciate you guys. It's a small league with my buddies. I have Adams and Allen at wide receiver 1 and 2. Okay, so still Hopkins over Godwin on a different lineup.
Nope. Throw in Hopkins as your third there and roll with it.
Yeah. Give y'all the Roethlisberger this week, at least 46 packs tips in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, it's they have had no problem whatsoever just continuing to chuck the ball every single week. So love to see it, especially in fantasy for fantasy purposes anyways. Maybe not so much for other people. Bro, any advice on who to start in PPR league? I need to start one running back flex. I have Drake, Gallman, and Jacobs.
Yeah, I have Drake just outside RB1 status here. I'll go Drake, and then I'll probably go Gallman. Jacobs is close right there. I could be talked into going Jacobs over Gallman, but Gallman's has just been getting a ton of work, has a decent shot at a touchdown in the matchup opposite of Drake. I'll go those first two names.
I'm going to go with Jacobs and Kenyan Drake. Yeah, that's what I'll go with those two. Wilson or Tannehill again from Jeremy Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
HW23, T. Higgins, AB, or Tim Patrick. I'm going to go AB.
Yeah, I feel like T. Higgins and Tim Patrick need a touchdown to save their week. I do not see them having big weeks. I'll go AB.
Tommy Finesse, 96. Metcalf or Lockett? Metcalf. He could put up 300 receiving yards today against this Jets defense. There ain't a damn person on that team that can do anything to him. So I love both of them. Should be great plays today, but I like DK Metcalf.
Yep.
Lil Morty, start 2. Evans, Cooper, Taylor, Debo. I'm going to go Taylor for sure, and then it comes down to Evans and Cooper. And I'm going to go Cooper.
I'm going to go Evans, so I'll go JT and Mike Evans.
All right. Jeremy Mendoza, I need to bench one. Devante Adams, Hopkins, Diggs, or Ridley.
You're not benching Adams. That's going to be your one automatic start. Other 3.
I'm going to bench DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm going to bench Diggs. I'm going to keep Hopkins and Ridley going.
This is another one of those situations where I would hate to be you, Jeremy. Okay, because like trying to make this decision every single week, it would feel like one of those situations where like you're never going to get it right and you're always going to have one of them wrong because these are elite options at wide receiver. But you can't sit Calvin Ridley especially now with Julio Jones out. The man's going to see 10 to 15 targets at least. And if you look at Calvin Ridley's numbers, once he gets over 8 targets, it's like over 100 yards and a touchdown is what he averages when he sees over 8 targets in a game. So I do like Calvin Ridley a lot. And then it really comes down to Hopkins and Diggs. And I don't know. I could end up regretting it by saying DeAndre Hopkins, but if this Kyler Murray is really concerning me, if you look at DeAndre Hopkins' route tree, the last couple of weeks, it's been fucking wild, like what they're doing with him. So, that's why I just slightly lean towards Diggs. Like they're all top 10 options. Again,
your boy Dan Arnold has a better route tree over the last couple of weeks.
Hey, Dan Arnold season, baby.
I love that he's coming around. Keelan Cole early in the year for you. What a win. Dan Arnold later in the year.
Yes, always gotta love Dan Arnold. Love Dan Arnold. More so for DFS, but can't really mess with them in season long. But still love to see it. Anyways, drifting cowboy. My bad. Josh Allen or Ty Hill.
Oh wow, those are 2 really close options. I'm gonna probably stick with Taysom Hill.
I'm gonna go Josh Allen here, just slightly. They both offer rushing upside. They both offer goal line carry work. So I think they're similar in that regard. I just have a little bit more faith in Josh Allen and what he's going to be able to do in this passing game. The Pittsburgh defense has been certainly a defense you could throw upon. And this game, I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. It should be a lot of fun between these two teams, Steelers and Bills. And now, showing a little bit of cracks. But to me, also, it should be mentioned that the Steelers have had to play so many games in so many days because of what happened with the Baltimore situation when they got the game moved and everything else. This is their 3rd or 4th game in like 2 weeks or something like that. Ridiculous. But so I will say that. But other than that, I'm going Josh Allen over Taysom Hill. And then let's see. I'm starting Metcalf and Diggs. I can only start. Oh, I should probably put that up. Alexis, I'm starting Metcalf and Diggs. I can only start one, Deandre or Chris Godwin, but I think I'm going to go ahead with your opinion. Thanks.
Okay, that's Alexis coming back with her options. Yeah, I think you're going Metcalf and Diggs, and then right behind them, you can go either way. We'll probably lean Deontay just by a hair. Yeah.
It's close, but I get it. Okay, now I understand why you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Really good options there. But I need to pitch one: Devante Adams, Hopkins, Diggs. We just answered that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, going back to my last question. Superflex was 2 quarterbacks. Number 1.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Superflex. No, I'm still going Wilson and Big Ben.
Yeah, I can't sit Russell Wilson.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going there. All right. Let's see. Bars in the tuck. Morning with Gibson out, Akers on my bench. Oh man, and Gaskin with COVID. I need a flex. Pick one: DeAndre Washington, Lindsey, Wilson, Pittman Jr., Chenault, or Gage. It's definitely DeAndre Washington for me.
Man, Philip Lindsay is intriguing. Philip Lindsay is intriguing for me. And the Raiders can't stop anything. That's the reason why we like Melvin Gordon. If you're talking about Washington can split work with Patrick Laird, they're going to most likely play catch up against the Chiefs. I think I just prefer what I would say is a better running back in Philip Lindsay, also in a split workload. Yeah, I'd probably go Lindsay and Wilson Jr. over Washington. What's your upside? I think the upside with Washington is he gets all the work, but even then, I guess can he get 15 for 80?
I don't see a scenario where they don't give him 60 to 65, maybe 70% of the touches in this backfield. But there's because Patrick Laird hasn't had a game all year where he's had over 3 carries, so he's not going to be involved there. In the pass catching work, he has been involved as a pass catcher, but he's not been significantly involved as a pass catcher. He usually runs 9 to 10 routes in a game, right? So I don't think all of a sudden that changes. And we've seen now many opportunities like Salvin Ahmed, right? Whenever that week came, that was DeAndre Washington was on the roster, all this stuff. They had all these guys, and they still just gave it straight, and had no problem running out Salvin Ahmed as the lead back here and commit to him. So I feel the same way with DeAndre Washington. We've kind of seen this play out as well too a couple of weeks ago against the Jets, which the Jets is a really good run defense. Jets have been really good against the run, and he looked like their better running back. So that's for me. I just think that DeAndre Washington has 15 to 20 touch upside.
Yeah.
So let's see. David Hess, San Francisco or Tampa Bay. I guess he's meaning defense.
I'm going to go San Francisco there. Washington obviously had a big win against the Steelers last week, but I think they get sacked a ton. Alex Smith is a statue in the pocket. I mean, he's getting sacked 4 or 5 times a game. I'm going to go San Francisco there.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think of that I would look, because interceptions, like defensive touchdowns, I don't think is very likely. He does a really good job of. That's why I always hate playing defenses against him because of that fact, because he just doesn't turn the ball over. So it's just not as high of upside. But you're right, in terms of the sacks department, I definitely think that's there as well. So I would lean towards San Francisco. Let's see, Standard League starting Zeke and Jonathan Taylor with Fournette out. Does Rojo overtake either?
That's a great question.
Can I be honest with what I feel about this?
Tell me your thoughts.
Listen, I get the Rojo stuff, and we've seen Rojo, and he's been explosive this year. But would anybody be surprised today if they fall behind and they start giving the ball to LaShawn McCoy or Keyshawn Vaughn out of the backfield as a pass catcher? Because I wouldn't. Because Bruce Arians does what Bruce Arians fucking wants and doesn't care. I know, and you're a huge Rojo guy. I get that, right? And I'm not as big of a Rojo fan as you. And people keep tilting their faces off about, I can't. Bruce Arians, should be doing this. Oh, Bruce Arians should be doing that. I'm like, bitch, it doesn't matter what you think or what. It matters what he's gonna do, right? Who cares if this is what he should be doing or what you think he should be doing? That's not what he's been doing, and it's so tough. I feel like if the Bucs are able to control this game, then I think it's a really great matchup for Ronald Jones, right? It's a good start to play Ronald Jones, but I could also see a scenario where Ronald Jones only touches the ball 10 times, regardless if Leonard Fournette's in the backfield or not. Okay, and it is something people should truly be concerned about. And I would be so here for a Keyshawn Vaughn breakout game today. Oh my goodness, that would be peak 2020 for me. Regardless of that, I'm not starting Rojo over Jonathan Taylor or Zeke.
Yeah, the matchups is the only reason. I love Ronald Jones's matchup against the Minnesota defense, so I'm all in on Ronald Jones. He's an RB1 for me, but who's right above him? Jonathan Taylor at running back 11 and Zeke at running back 9. So, as much as I want to pump Rojo into your starting lineup there, he falls just behind Jonathan Taylor for me.
Yeah, Grant, T.Y. Hilton or Hollywood Brown, 49ers or Cardinals defense, full PPR. I'm going T.Y. It is tough, though, because I will say Hollywood Brown has really started to come on over the last couple of weeks. It started to look a little better, get more involved in the offense. Though I will say 5 for 39 and a touchdown isn't necessarily, blowing the doors off of anything that last week. But in a game against Cleveland, Cleveland's pass defense, especially their secondary, have been really, really bad. They are getting Mark Andrews back, which should help the offense a little bit too. I just would lean a little bit more towards T.Y. Hilton on that.
Yeah. We just talked about how much Phillip Rivers is throwing. They're going to throw it twice as much as Baltimore, most likely. So I'll go T.Y. Hilton.
Okay. And then 49ers. I'm going 49ers defense over Cardinals. I don't mind the Cardinals defense because Daniel Jones certainly has the ability to turn the football over at a high rate and or fumbles, one or the other. But I just lean towards the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, going back to what you said, Daniel Jones most likely to turn it over more. I think 49ers are much safer, though. I don't see the Washington football team without Antonio Gibson. It's going to be a McLaurin show. That's about it. I think 49ers will shut them down pretty well.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Got a few more minutes left. Second league, Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford? I'm going to go Stafford.
Stafford.
CeeDee Lamb or Devante Parker?
Parker, yep.
Oh, Lord. Todd Gurley, Gus Edwards, or Tony Pollard? Yep. Sir, is DeAndre Washington available there, Grant? Because if he is, I would. You should add him because I don't want to start any of those running backs. Like Todd Gurley's dead to me.
Man, yeah, I'm gonna probably go with Todd Gurley just because of the touchdown potential there. Tony Pollard, here's the thing. If we're talking about Todd Gurley splitting work three-way now, he's off the injury report. He was limited, but they pulled him off the injury report. But we know he's not really healthy anymore at all. Tony Pollard's kind of interesting because he's been getting series of his own with Zeke off the field. So he's looked good when he's out there. Can he bust off a big run? I don't mind going Tony Pollard there, but I just think Todd Gurley has the highest touchdown upside of all three of those guys.
Yeah, so Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
I feel gross, but these other guys don't make me feel any better. So I probably would lean towards Todd Gurley and just hope for the best. Hopefully he can fall his his busted knee ass into the end zone. Mm-hmm. Currently have Gronk and Goddard and tight end and flex, half-point PPR.
And Gronk's he's been pretty solid over the last couple of weeks.
Well, are you okay with starting both of them?
Oh.
Because basically what he's saying, he's starting Gronk and Goddard and tight end in his flex.
I'll probably go CeeDee Lamb over Goddard. It's close.
So tough, just because both of them have such a I think Goddard, with his ability to find the end zone, his red zone usage.
Yeah, close. I'll probably go CeeDee Lamb over Goddard.
I would probably leave it the way that you have it, but at the same in terms of that, but I wouldn't hate you if you wanted to play CeeDee Lamb either. Need to start one with the flex from Derek in the YouTube chat with the biggest upside. Derek, Devante Parker, Duke Johnson, T. Higgins, DeAndre Washington, leaning Parker, but not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go Parker out of that group.
Yeah, I would probably agree. He definitely has probably the biggest upside, but I also think DeAndre Washington is interesting, but we've already talked about that a ton. Gabriel Heath, what do you think about Ronald Jones? I think we already talked about that just a minute ago, but I think he has a high ceiling, but he also has a low floor. Kind of what we talked about. I know Robby likes him as an RB1 this week, so if you own him, you're probably playing him depending on who you have, unless you have some of these other guys like the other Jonathan Taylor, maybe David Montgomery, those guys I would definitely play over Ronald Jones. But Ronald Jones is scary because, as we've seen with Bruce Arians, he has no problem with sitting Ronald Jones' ass on the bench. And if he fumbles, if anything happens, depending on how game script goes here. So he is a little bit volatile in that way.
Yeah, I'll paint a little bit better of a picture here. Leonard Fournette isn't active because of Bruce Arians' decision. I think his words have never really matched up, but I think we've turned a corner. Ronald Jones fumbled a couple weeks ago, and they kept him in, and that's when he had 192 yards against Carolina's defense. He's had 400-yard games. 3 of those came without Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette out again. great matchup. I think you have to be excited about Rojo this week. Even as a Rojo hater, you have to be excited about his opportunity this week.
I don't hate Rojo. I just hate people who don't catch passes. So since the playoffs, every position matters. No, it doesn't. Kickers certainly do not matter. But okay, I guess we're gonna have to answer it. Jason Sanders against the Chiefs, or should I pick up Tyler Bass, Gano, or Blankenship off waivers? Stick with Jason Sanders, I think, against the Chiefs.
How do you not? He's been, outside of Younghoe Koo, he's been the best kicker. And they're going up against the Jets. They're going to put up points. Jets defense, they can get a couple stops. That's a couple field goals. Yeah, I think there's no reason to switch out of that.
I think
really Jason Myers. He said Jason Sanders. Sorry, that's Miami's kicker.
Right.
Oh. No, it's a little bit closer. I have Blankenship higher. He said Blankenship in there. Yeah, I have Blankenship higher.
All right, listen to him. I don't rock with kickers at all. So there you go. There you have it. Malcolm Parker on YouTube. Corey Davis or J.D. McKissick in a full PPR. Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Falcons. What was that? Seahawks D or Saints D?
Falcons. I'll go Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go Seahawks. It's tough, though. That Saints D has been real nice. Oh, he asked a kick question. I know, Walito. I know, but we answer it because we're for the people, and we answer questions. Malcolm Parker again. Rojo or Deontay Johnson?
Walito helping us out with Cody out. He's that sub off the bench.
I told him last night. I said we need to make him our official moderator of PFA.
That's absolutely true. I'm going Rojo for all the reasons I stated earlier.
I can't. I'm going Deontay Johnson.
Oh man,
Stick to the brand.
You're gonna be so sad when he puts up 125 rushing yards.
If he doesn't find the end zone, it's 12 points. So, Debo or Ayuk, need biggest upside guy. I think Ayuk can break a big catch for a touchdown. I'm going Ayuk.
Yeah, I've been a Debo guy, but Ayuk has been absolutely on fire the last 4 weeks. He's been better than Debo. You have to go Ayuk.
All right, last question before we wrap this thing up. Should I start Kiki Kuti, Devante Parker, or Beasley? Full PPR.
I'm really hoping Devante Parker plays well against the Chiefs because he's been an answer for us a lot. I do think he will. He has a much better matchup than Kuti. And Beasley, amazing week last week. I'm not going to chase those points, though. I will go to Devante Parker.
I would agree, but it's close. I do like Kiki quite a bit this week as well. I guess really quickly, hey, should I start Juju or Ayuk as wide receiver 2? I'm going Ayuk.
Ayuk, absolutely.
Yeah. Brian, I'm pretty sure we already answered this, but it's Tannehill for the both of us and KC defense, I believe, right?
Yep.
Okay. And one last question. We already answered that one for you, Jay. So again, if you guys haven't already, as you can see to the right, I think this pretty much wraps up this week. We are at 11:30, actually 11:31. But make sure if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you can be entered to win that Allen Robinson signed jersey, plus some other stuff. It's not going to be just the jersey. We're going to be doing some shirts and some other things. So we're really looking forward to doing that. We'll be giving that away week 16, which is championship week. Hopefully we're all still there. Hopefully you guys are all still in it so we can win championships and give away stuff Christmas weekend. So I really appreciate all the support from everybody. It has been awesome. We are getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark, which has been my goal for this entire year, is for us to get there by the end of this year. So hopefully we can help grind there. And with doing so, we were wanting to give back and help you guys out and kind of give something back to you guys. So that's why we were giving away the jersey and the other stuff just to kind of help out and show our appreciation for you guys. So we really do appreciate it. Robby, you have anything else?
No, man. Let's go get it. First week of playoffs. Get some dubs. All
right. So, with that, that's Robby. You can find him on Twitter at NFL Robby. You can find me on Twitter at FantasyWrath13. We'll be back again tonight to do the waiver show, talking about all the guys you should be looking to pick up for your waivers for week 15. We'll be back again Wednesday. We'll also be doing our start sit show that we'll be putting out periodically throughout the week with all the positions. So, with that being said, I hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you guys again. Well, I guess here in a few hours tonight. So have a good week and get them championships. Let's go.